back line. Immediately pulls the stinger away from Dardas as Scary finds a triple knockup with the ult. Ult from Stewart doing an immense amount of damage to Dardas, but Snoopy is forced out of this fight. Inbound is forced into the respawn, but Kirmi has grabbed Dardas to the back, maybe able to get Mike as well. A couple of crits from Kirmi.
We talked to Kirmi. This team identifies as a heavy early game aggressive team, and they pretty much lost from minute 1 to minute done. They never got that chance to show that aggressive side. With the Circuit, with the Ymir, with the horrific emblem, I think they have some avenues to try and get aggressive, and because of that, I'd be willing to bet the Ymir pick can get some value here. Put it behind Lasbra, Dardes, find them in the jungle, look for a duo lane fight. If you get the beats down early with the horrific emblem, I think Vote could be a fantastic target if Kirmi wants to go over to left lane, which he probably should, and that's where the aggressive plays can be made around this Ymir. So good looks throughout. Remember last time, Stewart got his beats down pretty much immediately, and this time that is not going to be the case. Better clear on the Ymir. They're going to be just fine hitting level 2.
So for Kirmi and for the Gladiators to find that early aggression to try and put themselves into that identity of an early game slanted style of team, is it on Kirmi, maybe more than anybody else, to try and get that started for the Gladiators? And if so, Charlie, maybe which lane would you like to see Kirmi try and put some of that pressure to for his squad?
I wouldn't hate Kirmi blinking in now, just trying to grab the beads and then getting out, right? That's always a solid play. You find out who your target's going to be, you blink on them, and then at level 5 you come back. And AMC and Hebo both could be easy grabs, but I still think the duo lane trying to focus out Vote, trying to focus out PBM would be a smart look as well. Last time we saw Kirmi go towards the shield buff, seems to be matching that rotation, and this time Lasbra's not going to make the rotation over. So Kirmi might have some safety here. It looks like the Jade Dragons recognized that rotation and immediately decided to back up. They're not going to step too far forward, and because of that, the aggression sort of has to stop there. But I think Kirmi, with the blink, has his pick of the targets, right? It's just Lasbra, Dardes, Vote. That's where I'd be looking. Pull the beads or try and come back out at level 5. The Circuit really doesn't have too much threat on the map. She's one of the most mobile junglers we have in the game. So if you're able to pull some beads down early, she really can pick her target.
Brief pause in the action by Inbound. We'll see what it'll take to get this one rolling back through. So you get a little moment to maybe kind of evaluate the early state of the map. Last time around, we take a look at the duo lane, and by this point, Stewart's already out of beads. He and Inbound are both sitting under tier 1 tower. Not the case this time, Charlie. Now at least sitting even in the lane up against Mike and Vote, who, at least for the Dragons, didn't have to change up the core dynamic of their team. They still got the Hercules, they got the Nox, their front line's the same. Vote gets to go on to the Cernos again. Just now changing it up instead and bringing Dardes back onto one of his old style of picks, getting that Amusin Cobb for himself over in that mid lane. How do you think that maybe changes, at least for the Jade Dragons as the game goes on? Does this maybe help them out a little bit more in the early, makes us push a little bit better, having this AMC versus that Tiamat?
The AMC, for me, is not the biggest change-up. I think it's the Hebo, right? Losing Lasbra on the Circuit, who was so mobile, who was so annoying, who could get to the backline, who could sort of dive in and out, that's a big difference maker. The Hebo can't do that. He goes in. He doesn't go back in and out, right? He doesn't have that escape once he decides the crushing wave, but he's got way more burst damage. He's usually taking a couple targets with him. The difference maker is Dardes can still apply that range damage like a Tiamat would. He's got good siege mechanics, which I think the Tiamat uses the lizards for that. They're relatively similar in this regard. It's just that Hebo, Lasbra, cannot do the same. He's not pulling beads like he would on the Circuit. He can't be as stealthy. He can't be that frontliner. It's a completely different play style from the jungle mechanic here for the Jade Dragons, that is. So he's going to have to wait a little bit. Level 5, this Hebo becomes extremely explosive. You don't really have that same level of early pressure like you would have had on the Circuit.
We can jump right back into game, right back into the action between the Dragons and the Gladiators. I think with the evaluation you get for both the junglers here, Charlie, those would be the ones to keep our eyes on for both these squads. Lasbra, maybe once an item comes online, or at least that ultimate, try and put some pressure in a lane. Already eyeing towards Scary D's side of the map, trying to take the cooldown buff away from him. Give the XP over to himself and Nika at least. And then Kirmi, definitely keeping eyes on where he puts his pressure on this Circuit. Taking that pick away from Lasbra, as mentioned by the desk, as highlighted by you as well. Definitely a wise thing to do, because Lasbra was really acting as this solo agent, true assassin style of play on that pick. And now giving over to Kirmi gives him maybe a little bit more control in that jungle to try and dictate the pacing for his team.
And he's got the control. I haven't seen him use it yet. That blink is still not off cooldown. And usually, I'm not going to say you have to use it at level 2 or 3, but it's relatively free beads. Like, if you just blink in right as the second wave spawns and hit Lasber or Dardas with that Cobra's Kiss, you're getting beads. Or they're eating it and you're getting a first blood. So I think Kirmi might have missed the opportunity there. Maybe disrespected the damage a little bit too much. You've got knock-up immunity in your Deathbane, so you're not really worried about Lasber trying to turn a kill. Regardless, Kirmi's giving a little bit of respect and he's sitting back. Maybe that ultimate is when we'll see the Serket get active. Because so far, it's just sort of been showing up to wave, clearing, getting your own uncontested farm, and then shield buff went left, Lasber goes right. That was how the farm game sort of petered out here. They didn't change much. They didn't try and find any fights. Both relics, I mean, both supports still have their horrific emblems. This is a relatively slow-paced early.
Level 5s, first items, probably the expectation we'll start to see. Either one of these junglers get active or maybe start to see the supports make some movement across the map. Mike has hit 5 now on the Nox. I wonder how long he'll stick around. Because remember, we look back at game number 1. Mike was sticking around as late as level 8 in the duel lane before finally fully rotating out, only coming back to help Vote either push a tower or try and go for maybe towards a pick or something like that up against Stewart. Kind of forced inbound to stay over in this lane as well. And I've been noticing that a lot, Charlie, is when one support has been sticking to this lane for as long as, say, Mike has, it kind of does force the hand of the opposition to almost match it.
I think that is a good call, but Stewart has so much safety on this pick and can clear from such a range. If Inbound wanted to get aggressive elsewhere, he could leave Stewart on an island. I don't think Nox and Cernanos have the ability to run down this Martikaros if you're playing Stealth Grass underneath your tower, waiting for the waves, just throwing out 1-2, backing up. You really should not be opening yourself up to too many ganks in that regard. So it looks like so far that's the play Inbound, and Polar Bear Mike have rotated out. They're just going to get their green buffs. Maybe we get to see the 3v3 scrap. I think the wall becomes a lot more useful in this mid 3v3. Dardes and PBM aren't going to appreciate it, and if Lasper rotates in, he's also not going to appreciate that placement. But they can't stay away for long. It looks like PBM and Inbound are sort of rotating back over to the left, or at least sticking around, because they know that shield buff's coming up soon.
Mike's looking for stacks. That's all he's doing.
That's true.
He wants prophetic stacks. Now that he's got it, he's starting it up. Couple up against Inbound.
He would get all 15 right now if he could. He'll just follow Inbound around.
Oh yeah, he would 100%.
Yep, auto him every couple seconds and just keep. Like, I got nowhere better to be.
No, because that's what Mike wants to do. He wants to get his prophetic stacks. He wants to be aggressive. If he can find a kill, cool. If not, he wants to be the stack differ of the league more than anything else on that prophetic. It seems to be his favorite go-to starter. Not necessarily starter item, but first item with your starter. Mike gonna find the root on Inbound. Second root comes to Vote. Early canceled wall by Inbound. He'll actually drag the camp away. May have just been able to steal that one out because of it. It's a little bit of XP taken away from the Jade Dragons by the aggression of Inbound. Not punished for standing so far up.
Yeah, that was just on Vote. Did not have to keep autoing it. Eventually that buff will leash and just come right back to you. You can't pull it away forever. But thought that he was going to be able to 50-50 it, or I guess thought Inbound was going to just try and go for the buff there. Doesn't work out, so a successful invade. And now Cern's without a purple buff for a bit. Does that mean that Stewart's going to be able to get aggressive and stand taller in lane? Probably not. I still think it's going to be playing safe. That is just Stewart's playstyle, right? How often do we see Stu like dash in, get aggressive, look for ults? There's no dash on Marty, but you get what I'm saying. He doesn't seem like he wants to take the 1v1s more often than not. He just wants to get to late game and sort of rotate into these team fights and make the difference there. So I'm assuming just going to be crickets over on the left side of the map. Kirmi once again has his aggressive jungler, has his ultimate, has the blink, has not used it. Just been going back for the farm. It seems like, I'm wondering if both of these teams just think their late game is better, right? That would be the reason a game would be played at this pace, is if both teams just valued their late game. If I'm looking at both drafts holistically, I'm thinking the Jade Dragons are the ones that are right to play passive. They've got Hebo, they've got Double Hunter, they've got great setup with Hercules and Nox. They should have no reason to think going late is a problem.
Kirmi able to help secure the shield buff for his team. Nika fighting against Scary D. Kyrmi's not going to get it back for free. PBM will walk up. Remember, he wants those prophetic stacks. He wants to be that nuisance. It'll force Kyrmi to walk all the way back to the tier 2 tower to have a safe place to go back to base. Now Mike even going over, putting a little bit of pressure towards Stewart on the left side of the map while our soul laners do soul lane things. Scary D, if maybe not for that heal from Nika, maybe. Could have seen a dive, maybe an ultimate used there, but just enough sustain on the Hercules for Nika to stay alive. Mike will not leave Stewart alone, man.
He needs fizz stacks, man. Where
He does.
Where else is he going to get them, you know?
You know what, that's fair.
He can't track down Kyrmi. He's too slippery. So he's like, hey, I'm going to Stu's purple buff. I'm going to shadow lock him every once in a while. I need this prophetic cloak online.
You know, as a support, I respect that, because I'm in that same predicament. I get prophetic, and I can never seem to find their jungler roaming around, because I've always got to either go to duo or go to solo. Mike actually steals away
rude.
the green buff with ultimate. And maybe the most disrespectful way you could take a buff away. Lasbra in the 1v1 versus Kyrmi, losing because he's missed out on a lot of his kit. Crushing wave to escape. Kyrmi closed the gaps, gets the taunt, silenced in place, but he still has the range for the auto. Mike now caught out. Not only a first blood for the Gladiators, but 2 on the board. 1 for Snoopy, 1 for Kyrmi.
If Kyrmi doesn't hit that Cobra's Kiss, he is not confirming that kill. That was real clutch and a play that needed to happen there for the Gilded Gladiators. End up getting 2 kills for their troubles because Mike dives deep and try and save his jungler as Stewart and Vote force into the ultimates, get a little bit aggressive towards that shield buff. Now we're heating up, J-Mac. Now we're seeing the sparks fly. And I think that Kyrmi has the ability to do that to Lasbra throughout the entirety of this matchup. I mean, until late game when Hebo just one-shots you. I think that aggression could have came at any time, but Kyrmi finally catches him out in the jungle, gets the beads, gets the crushing wave, gets the first and second blood.
Kyrmi and Snoopy now with 1 to pop for themselves, gets the Gilded Gladiators on the board. It's much earlier pace than from game number 1. Able to find their fight back in. Mike will lock down inbound, get a prophetic stack, but keep inbound away. Now with this double hunter, that's so good for the late game, also good for the early game siege. Try and push this down, but with no crit online would be done a little bit slower, but still having the double hunter maybe expedite that process up on the Gold Fury. But all it took was a quick rotation from the Gladiators, inbound namely, to walk up. Tell him, man, can't sneak this one away from me just yet.
You gave him the old finger wag.
Gave him the old finger wag. Said, no Gold Fury just yet for you guys. This is our early game for the Gilded Gladiators.
Are we even in early game anymore? I'm thinking it's going towards mid game now. We're at 10 minutes.
What do we classify the mid? Is it that 10 minutes? I typically see like 14, 15 as like the official mid game.
That's fair. I'd say level 12 when you get double relics for just about everyone but supports. That's when mid game starts occurring.
Okay, that's fair. I think that's a fair assessment there, which does kind of put us at that like 10 to 13 minute mark somewhere around there. But so now, at least for the Gladiators, you got your early kills. Got the momentum started for Kyrmi, maybe builds a little bit of confidence for the Circuit. But it doesn't seem to have phased the Dragons at all.
I like this. Kyrmi's going for it.
Started for gold. Kyrmi going to go for the invade on the Lasbro once again. Finds him in the jungle. Poison
1 auto.
Won't be enough. Kyrmi's got to get an auto, a blink, something in there. Not enough. But does send Lasbro back to base once more.
Yeah, I mean, Kyrmi had the beats down. They weren't up for another 20 seconds at the time of the start of that fight. So he goes to the jungle, searches for him. Pushes out Lasbra. Couldn't quite get the auto attack, but it's fine. You're able to pull Pyromancer in the meantime. And Snoopy, unfortunately, is going to take some damage. But Nika could have the boulder here for the finish.
The wall from inbound keeps Snoopy alive for the time. Mike hits it with the ultimate, but it's a tank knocks. That ult's not hitting very hard. Inbound may have just single-handedly saved Snoopy's life with that wall. The knockup from Nika, good. The defense from inbound, better.
Yeah, that's some great peel. Nika's ultimate was not quite up yet, but now Gold Fury gets used, and it looks like the Gilded Gladiators had already used everything to try and defend, so they're going to give that one up. The Jade Dragons are going to push themselves. Not in the lead. They're catching up at this point. But again, I got to shout out Kyrmi, man. It seems like you talk about the confidence, and that's what I've been looking for as well. Mike?
Jeez.
Gone?
Dude, one more shot does it.
Look at his face. Stu said, what are you stepping up to me for?
Stu saying, all right, dude. I mean, I'm level 13. I've got 2 items online. You're You're just a little Nox with only one defense. He needs the full combo from Stu.
That comes full circle because that was you know when Stu was under his purple buff and he's like, man, this guy walked up and just got a free stack on me. Just wait until I've got items and I'm gonna bully you. And Mike went up for the stack again.
Hope you're happy for your stack, bro. It cost you a life.
Yep, and Stu sent him back to base. Now Scary D makes the rotation. This is gonna take a while if they try and kill this Cernos, but it's certainly possible. Mike's coming with a peel.
Vote, buying as much time as he can, dashes back to the tier 1 tower. Mike is here to lock down Kirmi, but there's 2 under the tower. Vote's got the barb inside, and Kirmi will take him down. A 4-man rotation to kill Vote. What do the Dragons do with their time after? The Gladiators pushed up the tier 1 tower a bit, couldn't take it. Dardas nearly grabs tier 1 tower in mid. Same with Nika on the right side. We'll clear out the bastions. So 4 people to find a single pick on the Vote. Do get his beads, but at the end of the day, Charlie, do you think that's worth it for the Gladiators?
That ends up not being worth it because of the farm elsewhere. You can take a look at the gold in the meantime. Lasbra gets aggressed upon, doesn't end up copping the beads though. Gonna hold on to him as Snoopy's gonna get some good damage. He teleports in.
This is a classic Snoopy move to try and go in. Wants to find Laz, not enough. The Stinger and the bees after him. Mike just needs one shot to do it. No, it doesn't even need that. It's the bees from the honey of Dardas. Pick up the kill.
Beautiful ult.
Knock up not there for Nika because of the ult of inbound. Tier 1 tower is not a safe place inbound as the Jade Dragons knock that one down, plus find the pick on Snoopy.
The classic Snoopy play you said as he blinks in. Unfortunately did not have the damage to really dish out. And Dardas just answered back and said, all right, yeah, you flickered in. I'm going to hit you with the Stinger, do plenty of damage, and then because of Mike on the rotation in, gets the honey to help confirm that kill. No beads, no Aegis down, so Snoopy's going to be just fine in that regard. And this Hebo, Lasbra is finally starting to get some damage online as well. We haven't seen this Hebo get aggressive really at all. He's been aggressed upon. He's been around kills. Has not been able to just blink in. You know, he doesn't have blink. He's just been sitting back. And that's usually what we expect from the Hebo jungle. It's just Lasbra recognizes he's under a lot of threat, and I think Kirmi has been putting a ton of pressure onto this mage jungle early, which is exactly what you have to do. You know, late game, he's going to be a threat. Let's bully him while we can. Only 2 kills so far for the Surcat, but I think Kirmi's been piloting the map much better than he was in game number 1.
You know, I'll give credit where it's due to Snoopy. It takes a lot of confidence to flicker into 2.
Yeah.
Maybe confidence. Maybe, I don't know, what's a good word to...
Stupidity.
I don't know if I'd say stupidity, but it'll pay off for him this time. Kill on to Mike. Credit to
only
Kirmi.
one.
But it was, 4 versus 1,
Yeah, that's
not 1 versus 2. Maybe, I don't know, maybe stupidity does fit.
I mean, I'm not saying Snoopy is stupid. He's making good plays.
That was just a dumb play.
It was clear that he thought he had more follow-up and more backup than he did. So, yeah, it ends up being stupid. If he kills him and gets out, he's a genius.
No, he's a hero. He's a hero.
He's a hero.
He's a highlight reel player at that point, but because there's 2 and then eventually Mike on the way who could have just dropped the death ball and that would have been enough to get Snoopy. Make Snoopy look maybe not so great in that play, but Oni Fury to start for the Gilded Gladiators. Mike's out ult. Vote is here. Also has ult to try and stop this one out. Will throw it a boulder over the wall. Jade Dragons steal away the Oni Fury. Kirmi, he's the big shutdown that the Dragons want, but they cannot get it. It was a basic attack from Vote that takes that one away. Inbound picked back up. Nika waiting for the push. Inbound has walled himself off and now been thrown to the wolves of the Dragons. Vote, credit to the kill. Second for the Jade Dragons and a Fury to boot.
That's just great CC there from Vote. Drops the Wild Hunt. Nika throws the boulder over. Doesn't quite steal it, but does enough disruption that an auto attack from Vote is able to steal away that Fury. All the while, you're just getting farm on the other side. Beautiful plays all around, and they're not done. The Jade Dragons are stepping up to take the tier 1 tower, but a lot of clear there from Stewart. Good damage as well from a range. Lasbra's going to have to respect how much this Marti Cross is able to dish out. They'll get the tower and back up. A Pyromancer's down. That's going to stop the aggression for the time being. I'm wondering how long it's going to take before you start grouping up towards fire because, again, Marty doesn't do good damage for FG, so the Gilded Gladiators probably won't feel strong. But Vote's only level 15, 2 levels behind Stewart. Doesn't even have crit online just yet. Probably will go back and finish a full item and a half now. but you're not counting on Vote to dish out enough damage to go for fire, right? Dardes has the burn, Vote's got burn, Laspro's got burst. But I'm thinking you want to wait at least 2-3 more levels for this Cernos before you actually start to make a serious pull on Fire Giant, even with the map state in your favor.
The only way I can see Dragons getting fire this early is if every single member of the Gladiators backs right now and every one of the Dragons are already at Fire Giant at that point.
They better all be on wards, even if they did back. You wouldn't know it.
But Gladiators would be able to spot that out instantly. There are wards. 3 of them covering the top side all the way, leaning from mid lane to the Fire Giant pit. So it would surely be spotted out by the Gladiators should the Dragons go for a play like that. Instead, it's a group up for the Gladiators. Tier 1 tower in mid to answer back to the one that's taken earlier. Kiermi at least tries to disrupt Nika from getting back into that fight, but Vote not satisfied with losing out on the left side of the map. Not getting as much farm as Stu has separated himself and done a little bit of split pushing of his own on the right lane.
Group up though. Mike gets walled off. Beautiful silence to stop the freeze and should be able to dash out unless caught out by Kiermi.
Oh, and the freeze catches the dash. Can't even get the ult. Scary D credited to the kill. And now it's the Gilded Gladiators on fire. Dardes is here. Vote as well, who hadn't left the lane yet. Dashes away from Kiermi. Gets caught by the second. Cobra's Kiss walled off as well. And death from above by Stewart. Vote is gone. 7 kills. For the Gilded Gladiators, all still healthy. Could go for fire if another pick goes through. Nika rooted in place. He's able to dash back through. A dive in by Scary and inbound. And it's 3 versus 5 around the fire pit.
And remember, these picks are massive because it's not easy for the Gladiators to just do Fire Giant. They've got the Stealth Grass and they're grouped up. Have not started a pull though. Nika seems like he's relatively tanky. 1 freeze, 1 wall is not going to cut it to burn through this Hercules unless they have all 5 eyes. And Mike is already back up. They're going to walk up slowly, but Nika once again gets frozen.
Nika does find a push on inbound. Scary D finds an ult on 3 in the back line. Gets a transformation. Roots 3 as well, and now a big war cry as well, but picked back up by Nika. Stinger to lock him in place. Crushing wave and an auto after. Scary D is down. Mike nearly going down, standing inside that acid rain. Inbound just off the mark from getting rooted there. Nika tries to find him, does get the pickup. Kiermi to the back line for Lasbra. But has Kiermi gone too far? No, Snoopy punishes Lasbra from diving in. It's a double kill for the mid laner. The Gladiators are here to fight.
Yeah, they are going to fight. They're going to back up, though. All the while, J-Mac, you'd expect them to be winning right now, right?
Oh.
Yeah, the gold has still not changed. It is still in favor of the Jade Dragons.
Oh, no.
They haven't been able to pull any objectives off that aggression. Scary D, unfortunately, was able to just dies there. He goes down, thinks he has a little bit more tank stats to work with, a beautiful pull in. Don't get me wrong, that's huge. Snoopy is able to dish out tons of damage now. The Merlin is online, but Dardes gets 2 kills. He's got Heartseeker online. This AMC is still dishing out plenty of damage, and it doesn't change the fact that Gilded Gladiators cannot pull Fire Giant that quickly. It takes a while for them to burn through that objective. Primal Fury, no problem. They should be able to grab this with relative ease. But they've got Pyromancer they could go for. Runic Bomb, I think, would help out the secure of this objective, and the Gilded Gladiators would love to group up. I think inbound, definitely the shining light in these jungle fights. These walls have been top tier, just showing exactly how much the squad of the Jade Dragons as a whole, they don't want to fight in the jungle like this. Them getting walled off really does hurt, and they don't have the Phantom Shell up for another 3 seconds. So now Mike's got the one and only Phantom Shell. You got to group around this Nox.
Nox has been the primary target for inbound and the Gilded Gladiators. Pyromancer now started up. Nika is here, has Boulder to take this one away. Will throw it out, but it's a bit early. Leashed away by the Gladiators. Started back up. It is a brawl for it, but it seems that it's the Bees damage that takes it away. Now the fight breaks out. PBM caught out by Kiermi, thrown into the clutches of Scary D and Stu, but inbound is low as well. One more shot would take down inbound, but he lives through. No, it's the Bees from Dardes that take him down again. Nika running as fast as he can. The Contagion proc starting to stack up in the backline as well, as Scary D was CC'd by many members of the Jade Dragons. 1 for 1, both on the supports.
They're going to back up here, both teams that is. Pyromancer goes down. The Runic Bomb is not going to be picked up here by the Jade Dragons, though they were the ones who were able to confirm that objective. But that's going to be it. Again, if you got more damage, maybe the Gilded Gladiators walk up. Both supports are down for the moment, so it looks like just going back to farming for the time being. I think Kiermi has also been in the right place at the right time, able to find so much CC in the back line and get out scot-free. 3-0-6 so far for the Cirquette. It's just been, hey, I'm going to lock someone down. Stewart goes up to the sky, and they've got plenty of range damage to try and finish those kills, but no one has been able to get to Dardes yet. 3-0 on the AMC, the only member of the Jade Dragons who has gone undying. And I think that's going to be the big decision maker. Is Kiermi or Stu going to fall, or is Dardes going to fall? That's the question, and so far, no answers. Grouping around the Fire Giant, though, Inbound is the only one here. If you have your Ymir at Fire Giant, he's not getting farm. He's got 3 items. He's level 12. Mike also has 3 items, but he's level 14. That XP will start to add up, especially when you're in upgrade your starter item territory.
Not only that, upgrading relics as well. Mike has fully upgraded his 2 relics. Meanwhile, Inbound only on the tier 2 of his bracer, tier 1 of that emblem. It's a decent stack of gold, about at least 1,300 in allocation just for relics that Mike's got over his opposition there. The Jade Dragons, even despite being so far down in the kill department, it's not the same on the board as mentioned earlier as far as gold and XP are concerned. 300 gold, 1,500 XP. Most of that is coming from Mike. A little bit for Nika. Most of it being made back up by Stu, though. Still 2 levels up over Vote, who has not been able to get a lot of farm because the Dragons have been forced to fight so much.
Yep, just grouping around this objective. Kiermi's over on left, but he should be heading over shortly. But no one's feeling confident enough to make a pull on the Fire Giant. Primal Fury is going to be coming up soon. We're at 25 minutes or so, and I think both teams, despite the fact that, again, not too much damage, objective damage coming out from Stewart onto Fire Giant, could make a play if you go over to Primal. We're just burning. Like, we are going for this objective. And the Jade Dragons have burned in spades. They've got crit for CERN, they've got Dardes, and they've got Lasper to confirm with that crushing wave. It's just they have plenty of options. So the Gilded Gladiators can never run too far away. They can't go too far to look for farm. No one is heading over that left lane where, you know, you have an endless spawn of minions that you could be using to try and get to level 20, but no one wants to take that bait. They know that this game is balancing on a knife's edge currently, despite the kills being heavily in favor of the Gladiators, and they don't want to give up any sort of advantage towards this Fire Giant pull. Now the Jade Dragons are walking away, though. They're stepping around mid lane. Kiermi's able to juke out the CC. I'm wondering if they're going to go for a Primal Fury, if they're just grouped up. And all the while, again, Inbound has not gotten farm since I brought it up. He has just been here in the stealth grass. Or
he's chilling.
He walked over to that tier 1 tower once, and since then has just been like, I will be the mobile ward. And he's not very mobile. He's been standing in the stealth grass.
Yeah, whichever one that Stewart so happens to throw down for. Remember, those patches of grass last 3 minutes. I saw Inbound stand in one for the entire duration of that stealth grass, at least the one by the Pyromancer. Vote has finally hit level 20.
Yeah, he went and got farm.
Yeah, Vote went and farmed. Vote said, if they're not doing anything, I'm just going to get XP on the map. Does so, hits level 20, upgrades his starter. Fire Giant teased at by Inbound and the Gladiators, but Inbound will instead just eat some pokes because of it. Scary D starts up the fire, but not sure the Gladiators want to make a commitment towards this. Keep watch on Kiermi through this fight. Where does he go to try and find a pick in the back line to try and catch one of these carries out of position?
The Jade Dragons are playing it perfectly so far. They don't have to step up if they don't want to. Pyromancer is up, and Inbound takes a lot of damage, but you called it. Kiermi with the wraparound is looking, and the Jade Dragons have to respect that Cirquette damage. They're going to back off. The crits are flying, though. That's Cirquette with the Deathbringer and level 20. You've got plenty of crit chance. And I think they all respect how much Kiermi could just one-shot someone if given the space. And finally, a Runic Bomb. Who's going to pick it up? Looks like Snoopy. Good look.
Snoopy gets to hold on. Well, Kiermi kind of couldn't at the moment. He had his slots filled. He's still got one in pocket and then a ward. You think it's a benefit if you're holding both the Runic Bombs and now you get to be the one who says, guys, I physically can't ward. That's y'all's job now.
I think you should be able to drop it.
Oh, just like set it down on the ground for someone else to pick up?
Yeah, exactly. I think it would be easier for people to actually go because no one wants to rotate over and pick it up. You say, hey, I'll grab it for you. And you just grab it, you just go, boop, you just drop it for them.
There you go. Just set it on there. Make up set up like a temporary market so you can just like put it up there like on a little stall and then your support comes over and grabs it or whoever else. But
Inbound will not go anywhere that's not stealth grass. He is still level 13.
He's got to stay stealthy, bro. He's got to stay touching the grass. Because otherwise, the Jade Dragons, they've made many of efforts.
He might get a wave here. Nope, he's
Nope.
running from it.
You jinxed it, man.
He
You
is
jinxed
actively avoiding the wave. He does not want it. And I think it's smart, right? His carries do need the extra XP. They need the gold, but they're all 20 now. You'd think it would be a smart call.
Bubble gone from Mike now. A starting win for the Gilded Gladiators to try and find a pick up against this Nox. Kirby to the back line. Immediately pulls the stinger away from Dardas as Scary finds a triple knock up with the ult. Ult from Stewart doing an immense amount of damage to Dardas, but Snoopy is forced out of this fight. Inbound is forced into the respawn, but Kirby has grabbed Dardas to the back, maybe able to get Mike as well. A couple of crits from Kirby. Lands a double kill, but Vote has been batting away at the tanks the entire time, both Scary and Inbound off the map.
Yeah, Kirby goes massive there for his team. If he doesn't get that double kill in the back line, this is looking like a pretty washed out fight. Vote also gets a couple kills for himself, and Lasbra and Nika have plenty of HP. I didn't see what happened to Snoopy. He was 1 HP. We saw Stewart go death from above and almost kill out Dardes, and then of course, Kirby goes in for the cleanup, but Snoopy was 1 HP at the start of that fight and had to back up. 3 for 3, this is the smart call. Just go for that Primal Fury in the meantime. You know that the Gilded Gladiators won't be going for it, and because the game's so close, Primal Fury, again, giving you extra damage, but that gold is still valuable. No one's full build quite yet. Starter items need upgraded, relics need upgraded, so I think that Primal Fury is a smart grab there for the Jade Dragons. But we're back to square one. I mean, this is still going to be a Fire Giant grouping. Could even be EFG in about a minute or so, and that looks to be the pace that we're setting so far. At the very least, we're seeing those upgrades I was talking about. Seer of the Jungle here for Lasbra. Some extra damage online for Kirmi. Close to a Magi's Cloak, which would be a big difference. So far, 5-0-6 on this Circuit has been a part of 1 kill, every kill but 1. Kirmi has almost impacted every single kill except for 1.
Similar pacing to how Lasper set on the circuit in game number 1, where Lasper was a part of all, if not most, at least, of the kills for the Jade Dragons to set their momentum. That seems to be the name of the game for the junglers for both of these teams. Such a close game at that. We are 30 minutes in. And I said yesterday, a 2,000 gold deficit or difference at 27 minutes was the closest game we had. Scratch that, Charlie. We are 200 gold, 29 XP at 30 minutes in the game. This is for sure our closest game that we have had this far into the depths of it. Both these teams, all they need is one person to step a little too far forward, one person to, without a relic or a Magi, to be taken away for either of these teams to find a pick. It started off great for the Gladiators. They got Mike's away last time through, but then, unknowing of what happened to Snoopy, forced their big burst mage damage out of the team fight. Luckily for the Gladiators, Kirmi was able to wrap around and find the double at the tail end to at least make it a 2 for 2, but we're getting to the point where 2 for 2s can still end up netting a Fire Giant with the way the builds are progressing.
Yeah, well, Dardes didn't have either relics until just 3 seconds ago, so that's why the Jade Dragons are playing back. Their AMC, who's been dishing out the majority of the damage so far this game, was a sitting duck if Inbound has had a good wall or if Kieran was able to find a blink. So I think a smart call is to stay back because, you know, the Gilded Gladiators are not going to pull this objective. They might bait it, but they can't commit to it because they don't have the crit to pull it down. I mean, Stewart does decent burst damage, but not to that Fire Giant. And because of that, the Jade Dragons aren't going to step up until they feel confident. They've got Magi's Bubbles. They've got their Phantom Shell. And, I mean, Inbound's got his work cut out for him. He doesn't know who to freeze because they all have bubbles. He doesn't know who to wall because they've got the shell. You got to try and bait it out without committing your life because this Ymir, as we've said, he's sort of all or nothing. You're either going in, you're not getting back out. It is very difficult to be at level 14 Ymir, get a freeze, root yourself in place, and then retreat afterward. Doesn't come easily. But the Jade Dragons are not stepping up either. They're going to stick around, get some poke, and sort of sniff out what the Gilded Gladiators want to do. Eventually, someone is going to have to attack this Fire Giant.
Eventually. You would imagine so. Inbound caught out by the combo from Mike. Fire Giant teased again by the Gladiators, but still unwilling to pull it with so many members of the Dragons sticking around. Inbound level 14 was able to get at least a little bit of XP before coming back to this objective. Jade Dragons take a Pyromancer while all this nothing is happening across the map.
Remember early game when it was like 10 minutes and there was no kills and I said the Gilded Gladiators seem to think that late game their comp is just going to win?
Right.
I still think the Jade Dragons have that better opportunity. The Gladiators have been much better in the team fight. They've been much better about getting to the back line and just destroying with good damage, but it's going to get to the point. Lasbro needs one more item, and if we're just going to sit by and no one's going to pull, he will eventually get that item. But finally, it's the Jade Dragons who step up. Fire Giant's half health already.
Half HP. Kirmi trying to find Nika. PBM has to pull out of the Fire Giant pit for the Jade Dragons, but Gilded Gladiators a bit slow on the reaction, will now pull the fire themselves. We went from nobody wanting to touch fire to now two teams dancing for it. Kirmi to the back line. Boulder, the second tap nearly takes him down. Lasbro has got the crushing wave out. Scary D finds a triple on the back line, but the carries are nowhere there for the follow-up. Instead, it's Scary D zoned away by the Dragons. And the Gladiators, their carries, all three have to go back to base aside from Stu. He's able to stand by. And Trelly,
It's a double down.
we go right back to the stalemate.
But this is what I'm talking about, though. The longer this goes on, the more power spikes we're going to see. Snoopy is able to get Soul Reaver. That's a big up. I think that Vote finally upgrades Deathbringer. Yes, he does. And Venom Deathbringer. He's been sitting on that one for quite some time. Lasbro apparently working on, I'm assuming, E-Staff. If he goes Gem of ISO, I'd be a little surprised. But either way, he wants one more item to try and do a little bit more damage. I'm going to just say I don't like this Hebo build. I know he's under a lot of threat, but my man's done 9k damage so far this game, and he doesn't have Blink. I think those two are related. You want to blink in, knock up. Oh, that's why you pick Hebo. You're not. You don't want his sustain. You don't want him to stick around in fights and do.
He's not doing either of those things.
You don't want little poke damage. I want to see big numbers, and unfortunately, you're not going to see it with this build. But all he needs to do is hit one ult, right? With a red buff, with a 3k pot, eventually, no matter what you build, you'll be doing some decent damage. And finally, the Jade Dragons are feeling like they can step up. And it looks to be like they're going to go for the pull, but Dardas walks into the pull at the last second, loses a fair bit of damage, but also the Magi's bubble for a minute. That's a big loss.
Magi's down. Now a target for inbound, a target for Scary D maybe. Does still have beads and Aegis. Both Lasbro and Vote still 70 seconds plus until theirs are back up. It's 30 seconds on the blink for Kirmi. Inbound's relics are about to be back up. So advantage to the Gilded Gladiators in that regard. They've able to get a bubble just like those two there. Mike and Kirmi trade theirs out. Maybe more valuable for Mike to take Kirmi's away as Kirmi's been diving the backline so hard.
Kirmi just got 3'd by Hebo. Does it look like it? No.
No.
He's not. I mean, I guess he's got Stone of Binding and Protector of the Jungle stacks there, but still, it should be doing a bit more. I wouldn't be mad if Lasbro backed and just sold that item and bought a full damage item. I think it really would help out the dive. But at this point, they're not really counting on the magical damage. They want the Hunters to be able to shred. They want Nika and PBM to be able to set up for them. And we've seen this plenty of times. Nika trying to pull in inbound and not getting much out of it. But Kirmi, here he comes to the backline once again.
Stewart's got a lot of damage as well. Blink to the backline by Scary D. Tries to go for the ultimate. Stewart raining death from above in his. PBM low in the fight. Frozen, the boulder not doing a lot to Scary D, who will get stuck in the silence. Can't get the dash out. It's Lasbro who ends up getting that kill on a Scary D. Starts the fight for the Dragons, but at the same time ends the fight against the Gilded Gladiators. A few members of the Dragons and a couple members of the Gladiators both having to go back.
But what's the call now? Snoopy hiding in the stealth grass. He's going to stick around. The Jade Dragons, of course, 5v4. They're going to go for the pull. Scary D will have teleport, though. If they can stall this fight after 40 seconds, Kulin will return. He does end up finishing the E-Staff. He will be a little bit tankier, do a little bit more damage. And the Jade Dragon going to set up for the pull. Remember, Stealth Grass is here. Snoopy is going to get caught up. But Kirmi, he was going for the wraparound and gets spotted. They know where this Circuit is, and they're going to go for the Fire Giant immediately.
Fire started. Snoopy and Stu have a lot of burst damage, a lot of chance to steal. Boulder slams through Snoopy. That's half HP now on the Merlin. Nika as well, half. Snoopy trying to steal this one away. The Dragons will finally get the Fire Giant 36 minutes in. It's a clean disengage for the Jade Dragons. On top of that, the Gladiators, Kirmi could not find that path in, could not find the steal. But the damage still ringing through from Snoopy and Stewart. This game, even with Fire Giant, Charlie, I feel is far from over.
Yep, seems like it. It does bode well, though, that Lasbro gets that buff. If you're going to build a build like this where you have some damage, you got some percent pen, but you go rather hybrid, it really does get a massive spike when you get the buffs from Enhanced Fire Giant, from red buff if you get one. Things like that do start to add up. So this Hebo might become more of a threat in the back line. Vote has already been a huge threat, and of course, Dardes still topping the damage charts, as you would imagine for an AMC that just goes full red items. The Heartseeker, the Bluestone, all of these different tick damage procs that you can get with the AMC do start to add up. Now they've got plenty of towers to go through. 3 tier 2s still standing for both of these teams. You said it, we may be far away, and I think that is true, but one pick could be all it takes, right? Someone steps up a bit too far, one pull from Nika. If PBM is able to connect with a combo on some of these no beads targets, that could be it. With the buff that they have and the double hunters and the Hebo, there's a little bit of CC and even tanks. I mean, if Scary D goes to the back line, he's not even full build yet. He will get deleted with a stinger from Dardes and then some auto attacks. That's all it takes at this point.
So for the Gladiators, I mean, Charlie, now that we've spent 10 or so minutes dancing around the Fire Giant, tier 2 towers are going down, Phoenix Sieges likely to be the next step, I should say, for the Jade Dragons. How does some of that siege look for the Dragons pushing into Gladiators? I mean, you got a Merlin for the Gladiators. That's at least a way to keep minions out, but what's the way for the Dragons into these fights?
It looks like Kierme's looking for some damage. I was going to say, I would just wait. Walk up, get some auto attacks, wait. Eventually, Scary D is going to blink in, and when he does, Mike has the lockdown. If you can put your silence down before that ultimate gets channeled, he's got no beads. It should be a relatively easy stinger and then damage follow-up. That's what I'd be sitting back for. I would split up the hunters like they're doing, though. Nika and Dardes are looking for poke in mid, and then Lasbra and Vote and PBM were looking for poke in right. They're not committing just yet, though. They're taking their time here.
Snoopy gonna zone himself over to the right side. Try and deal with minions there. Stewart, with his range, can deal with minions in mid. Dardes and Nika desperately trying to find opportunity to push in. Stu's been poked down a little bit, though. We'll have to go back and regen.
Fire's gone in 15 seconds.
Fire Giant, which was great for the Dragons, and they got a couple of towers from it, but not much else beyond there. Mike does take the bubble away from Kierme. Kierme does manage to drop the Runic Bomb before it can detonate, so the Phoenix still stands. Inbound pulled back by Nika, but the Jade Dragons have now lost their enhanced Fire Giant buff. 1 minute till that objective respawns on the map. Snoopy trying to go for anything up against PBM, recognizing no one's behind, will hold on to the beads for another fight.
Yeah, this is a high-stakes game. I'm beads in that every time. I'm so scared. I assume the whole team is around that corner, but Snoopy's like, I'd be willing to bet there is absolutely no one here. And plus, there's ward vision, so I think he had the information that no one followed suit. So Mike's going to be getting nothing off of that combo. That's the first enhanced Fire Giant gone. And nothing to come for him at Phoenix-wise. You're right, 2 tier 2 towers, but not going to be the biggest deal. I'm wondering how long this next dance will be, because the Jade Dragons, sure, they got a little bit of a gold lead off that, but besides the supports, everyone is about full build. We already saw some upgraded relics come through. Kierme's had the upgraded relics. So it's not going to be the biggest difference maker. This still could be the same style of play, but look at the ward coverage. Inbound walks up, and he's going to get locked down.
He's caught in the silence and the shadow lock as well. Stinger's there. Vote is good with the shot. Scary D to the back line. Tries to get the carries out, but Lasbra puts Snoopy down. But Stewart's able to return the favor, but it's 3 down now. The Jade Dragons may have just opened up the door to walk back in. Kierme finds a taunt onto Nika. It's just Stewart at full HP. Silence locked out. Has to use the beads. Nika's got the pickup, but does he have the distance? No. Great taunt by Kierme. Kierme keeps him out.
And now they have no minions, though. They're just going to march in forward to try and grab this mid bird. Stewart does a lot of damage. I don't think they can ever go for the end call here. One Phoenix is fine, and it looks like that is the play. Nika's going to back and go for the teleport towards Enhanced Fire Giant. I like this idea. Mike's going to go with him, and then he's going to be able to join with a teleport. He's going to jump. He jumped inside him for the back, and he's not going to even wait for him for the TP. It looks like he's going to foot it, which I guess is the right call if you don't have enough cooldown on your Shadow Dash, but Enhanced Fire Giant should come easily. You finally get a Phoenix down. There's still 1 tier 2 towers standing at this point for the Jade Dragons. And they still have plenty of damage to try and defend, right? The siege just did not go well. They didn't really commit. They didn't want to lose a life. So they sort of half went in. This Enhanced Fire Giant should be GG. I mean, if they play this right, they should be able to split up. I don't know how they're going to split up. At this point, it's probably Lasbra over and right with a Hunter.
You say should be GG, but I just watched a 20,000 gold deficit defense by the Gladiators last game. I'm not sure I can call an EFG GG in this matchup, Trelly.
No, that's true. But with one bird already down, it gets a little bit easier. You got to send someone over to right. I don't think just straight 5v5 is the call. But we're seeing some 3K pots built. Vote is going to be absolutely chunking once he pops that. It's going to be interesting. You're right. It's not guaranteed. It never is at this point.
The Jade Dragons, where they find their success in this next siege. Still one tier 2 tower. Phoenix, a few minutes from respawning back in mid, so Dragons have time to play around this buff. They've already used the first minute of it. They've only gotten a Pyromancer with it. Can now siege up the left side, so one Runic Bomb in pocket for Nika. And the left side Phoenix, under the watchful eye of the Jade Dragons. Nika, though, the one with the bomb, has separated himself from the squad. Could be forcing out minions up in this mid lane and then make an easy wraparound for his squad. Remember, Enhanced Fire Giant means this Phoenix will be tougher to defend. The backdoor protections are gone. The Dragons are playing so patiently, respecting the damage that the Gladiators have between Snoopy, between Stewart. None of the Dragons willing to step up yet.
Yep, Nika's over in mid. Not heading over for the right Phoenix yet, which I think could be a smart call. He could just walk in and start hitting it. Unless someone rotates over, you're going to be just fine. But you got to watch out for the damage that Stewart outputs. I mean, Snoopy and Stewart are able to just half-health someone if they stand too close to this Phoenix. And that clear has been consistent, as you can see. No real opening. Just using the ultimate, Snoopy gets chunked.
Boulder gonna start this one out. Jade Dragons have now forced Scary D's hand, and Scary D will go down. Lasbra, credit to the kill. Ultimate from Mike just off the mark. Nika does have Runic Bomb, can drop it to Phoenix to get it if they want, but they don't need it. The Jade Dragons have found their one pick off Scary D, jumping forward. 55 seconds till he's back.
And I said that was the call, what, 10 minutes ago? Just wait for Scary D to go in, Stinger, get your pick, and then start the siege. It works out. You get your left Phoenix, but now EFG is done in 20 seconds. It looks like they're all in the stealth grass here. This could be a nice ambush play.
I don't know, for a moment they recognize that Nika went to the back line. Kirmi is there to keep him out. Right side Phoenix under fire, but not taking a lot of damage from the Dragons. Again, all this ranged poke that Snoopy and Stewart are throwing out are keeping these minions from getting into the Phoenix, are keeping the Dragons from getting anything done. Another boulder on Snoopy, a quick flicker away from Nika.
Good wall.
This time the wall from inbound will hold off not just damage, but a couple members of the Dragons. Right side Phoenix, one hit away from going down. Nobody is swinging at it. It's Kirmi to the back line. Finds a taunt, gets an ult on Mike, who's got to get away from his team, able to stay alive. Even during that, the Gladiators, they get their mid Phoenix back. Their right one is one hit away from dropping down. It's Dardes to do the deed.
They're finally going to get the two side lanes, but mid Phoenix will respawn, and Stewart was able to keep it alive. Are we looking at what? Is this the third EFG now, I believe?
This would be 3.
Yeah, third EFG. Still not enough.
No actual fires. That's the crazy
part. Yeah, no, I know there was no fires. That much I remember. The EFGs, they start getting lost once you start stacking them on top of each other. First EFG gets mid Phoenix. Second one is able to grab the sides, and mid Phoenix respawns. And Oni Fury is going to go the way. Maybe not. Nika might be able to step up here and find some aggression. The rest of the team's coming too. And inbound is stuck in mid, currently trying to defend fire minions. So Oni Fury will go the way of the Jade Dragons. They're not going to be giving an inch. They will not let you get any free farm on their way to Enhanced Fire Giant.
Snoopy is a magnet for these boulders, man.
It's just, but they can't get to him, and you can tell Nika's just upset because he can't like pull. So he's just like, here's a baseball.
Yeah,
he's
here's a giant baseball that's going to take a third of your HP, Snoopy. You just have to deal with it. It's worked out well for the Dragons to take the Phoenixes, but beyond there, the success of the Fire Giants has only been able to net birds for the Jade Dragons. They get their third Enhanced Fire. They get another Pyromancer. And we start the siege one more time, Trelly. 46 minutes in, pushing 47 here in game number 2. The Jade Dragons need one opening to jump back in. One more moment of maybe Scary D jumping a little too far forward. But this zoning damage that Snoopy and Stewart have been keeping the Dragons at bay on every one of these sieges.
I've been loving the Martí tech, though. You can see the Gilded Gladiators have been setting up some stealth grass right at the front and trying to go for ambushes. Hasn't worked, though, so now it's just in the back. Oni fire minions pouring in. One bird left. There's the baseball.
I'm telling
Sorry,
you, it's a
Snoopy.
magnet.
Sorry, man. You're half health.
Nika will allow this mid bird to go down. Left side going to be the next one coming back up. The Jade Dragons. Surely we rewind in time about an hour to where we were now in game number 1, where the Dragons want an opportunity to go for the Titan, though much healthier than it was at this point from game number 1. Nika. Man, Nika is so desperate to find any pickup that he can.
Don't worry, his baseball will come back up.
Yeah, Snoopy will get hit by
He's going to hit Snoopy in the face with it, and then they're going to get another Phoenix off it.
There are two things for certain in this game. It's that Nika has a boulder and Snoopy's going to get hit by it.
And we're going 50. All of those
Oh,
things.
man.
Yep, we're at 48. Left side bird spawns in. Mike and Dardes are going to be able to grab it for free, but that Titan stands tall. The Gilded Gladiators know all they have to do is protect this, and they cannot lose.
Stewart keeping the minions out. Titan has taken a little bit of damage. Jade Dragons playing patiently around. Nika, rooted in place, has to dash away. The Gladiators, if there's one thing that I've learned about the Gladiators in this set so far, Charlie, it's resilience at the base, or maybe it's unwillingness by the Jade Dragons to try and step in and get something going. Nika wants to. He's been frozen by inbound, walled off, but there's no damage to follow up. Nika just got to walk in for free and walk back out.
I mean, Titan reset like twice there, so the HP is all back. Right side bird is spawning in shortly. The Jade Dragons have to make a call. Are we going for the end? Are we going for the right side Phoenix? Are we stepping up at all? Inbound does get knocked up close, but the wall means he can't be any closer.
Silenced out, half HP. Inbound's got to go back to the fountain. Nika goes for the pull, but cannot find Kirmi. Fast Deathbane, knock up onto Scary D, who has transformed. He wants to start this fight, but don't get too overzealous, Scary. Does take the bubble away from Dardes. Nika picks up inbound, but a freeze hits him first. Cannot be pushed back. Rooted in place again by Stewart. He has been pumping out damage on this Martí as Scary D continues to fish for a spot in the back line.
Still, it's just dancing around the Titan. Are we going to commit or not? That's from above. Stewart has to use it defensively. Doesn't get too much damage off. The Jade Dragons, they're not backing up. They're not going for that Fire Giant yet. I was thinking that was going to be the call. They were just going to give up and go one more. But they're sticking around. They don't have that regen. The Fire Giant buff fell off, and Scary D sieges forward.
Inbound, doesn't get the freeze, gets pushed back, but again, the follow-up's not there. It's a freeze on a PBM. Stu throws out the Acid Rain. Another boulder on top of Snoopy. Pushed back into the back line. Beads quickly by Kirby through, but it is damage from Lasbra and Dardes. Snoopy trying to fight back against Laz, and he's got a lot through, but there's just too much. The Aegis from Laz buys him enough space, but Stewart takes down Vote. That's a hefty amount of damage through while Stewart still lives.
And they have damage, as you said, but Stewart's alive. What's the call? Nika goes to back, he stops. Dardes is still here looking for Poke.
Reset.
I'm not sure. I mean, Dardes wants to go for the end. You can tell he's standing here for a reason. But the tanks, they just can't tank anymore. They have to go.
Nika's got teleport at least. He can jump back up here. Mike doesn't. Mike went to base. He's got to walk all the way from where he's standing.
No, he could dash
to
in.
the opposite.
He could dash into Nika.
Good point. Nika does have teleport to come back, so the tanks can rejoin the fray. It is 32 seconds until Kirmi is back up. Dragons walk in. Dardes on the Titan. Damage with PBM and the rest of the squad. And 51 minutes this time. The Jade Dragons get it done in 2.
You got to give respect to the base defense of
Man.
the Gilded Gladiators. I mean,
They got one good thing going for them right now. And that's their base defense.
Try fighting
one really good thing.
Try fighting me near my fountain, bro. See how that goes. That's what the Gilded Gladiators said. And again, we talked about it between break. 20,000 gold, 3 Phoenixes down. That's game 1. The fact that the game isn't immediately over at that situation is a bit absurd. This time around, 51 minutes. It really did seem like the Jade Dragons were playing calm and collected. Sure, okay, let's just go for one more fight.